Gaudete in Domino Semper, the Latin phrase from the opening antiphon of this third Sunday of Advent. Gaudete in Domino Semper. Rejoice in the Lord always. The Lord is near. The Lord is near in terms of Christmas. Perhaps we are eager for that to come. Decorations are up. Presents are being bought and wrapped, hidden. Little children and the little child in each of us might be eager for Christmas. Or the Lord comes into our hearts and our lives. Perhaps this can light us up a little bit in the dreariness of our everyday lives. Rejoice. But I think sometimes rejoice is a choice that we make. Often we have become jaded. Maybe we have had too many dreams dashed and too many dreams corroded that we're not quite ready to immediately rejoice. Life has too much loneliness to make me want too much for a visit from my grandchildren, the old grandmother might say. Life has too much work and slavery to make me wish for relief and rest. The worker who works 60 hours a week at a factory line might say. A failed marriage, a year of treatments at the cancer clinic has made it too hard to wish for love or healing. There is real sadness in people's lives, real depression. And when that happens, the twinkling lights of Christmas only make it feel worse. And so now you come to this third Sunday and you tell me to rejoice. And you wear different colored vestments. You have a rose candle. And you say Christmas is almost here. Has life gagged and tied up the little child in each of us who are adults? John's position in the early church was a real problem because even after the resurrection of Jesus, there was a group of disciples that still followed John the Baptist and believed that he was the Messiah. And the early church had to figure out how it was going to wrap itself around these disciples and keep them in this new covenant. John had his followers who, like him, asked the question, Jesus, are you the Messiah, or do we look for somebody else? For the firebrand prophet of John was a little bit more like the tune of the people of that day when they thought about Messiah. Those people at the time of Jesus and John believed that the Messiah should be one of power and leadership, of military might, a freedom fighter, who would be like King David, would restore them to the prominence like they remembered from their history. But how did he define himself when John asked him? He defined himself as the one who brought blessings to the poor in spirit, to the meek, and to the peacemakers. He's the one who called people to love their enemies and not judge, and bring good news to the poor. He's the one who did not stay within the circle of power in Jerusalem, but continued his ministry on the peripheries, especially to the common folks of Galilee. And now from prison, John asks the question, could you possibly be the Messiah under these terms that I don't quite understand? There were doubters among John's followers because Jesus was ushering in a kingdom without power. Are you he who is to come? The real burdens of John's questions, though, today take on a similar kind of theme in our own lives, as I've already outlined. But John recognized something by what Jesus spoke in the answer back to him. He recognized Isaiah 29, when Jesus says, the deaf will hear and the blind will see. He recognized Isaiah 35 when Jesus talked about the lame leaping like a deer. He recognized Isaiah 26 when Jesus says the dead will become alive. And he recognized Isaiah 61 when he says the good news will be preached to the oppressed. These were common kinds of prophecies in the book of Isaiah that the people recognized as being messianic prophecies. And Jesus quoted from them directly in his answer back to John. And John would have heard these allusions in his words and would have been caught because he could see and start to notice how Jesus is the Messiah. But then Jesus, instead of rebuking John or his disciples for doubting him, he offered them a blessing. Blessed are those who do not find a stumbling block in me. And then he goes on to proclaim and give the greatest compliment he could give to anyone, that John was the fulfillment of Malachi's prophecy, that there would be one who was going to be sent in order to prepare the way for the Messiah. So John became the pointer to who Jesus was by simply Jesus saying he is the fulfillment of what Malachi said. For us who look around the world today, to read the paper and see the news, and see all the terrible effects of war on our nation, on our world, so many innocent people killed constantly every single day by the violence going on in the Middle East constantly. And our soldiers even coming home to us, bringing home the effects of those wars that will last in their lives perhaps till they die. There seems to be no chance of peace. Our problems seem to pale in comparison to those problems. And yet in our own country, when we see our own people take innocent unborn lives for reasons as profound as it's inconvenient, and now we bring doctor-assisted suicide into some of our states and even find it being talked about in our own legislature. Who will decide then for the poor, who cannot speak for themselves? Who will decide whether they should be done away with? This is indeed a suffering world, a world filled with so many problems. And yet today we're told to rejoice. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. It's the only thing to do. Because it's back to that choice of faith. Do we believe that Jesus is the Messiah? Do we believe that he has come to save the world? Whether the world cooperates with the Messiah is beside the point. The point is, did he come and is he who he says he is? And if he is, then we personally can rejoice. Because he has come not just for the world, but he's come for me. Like John, we've got our doubts, but in the midst of those doubts, sometimes we just got to choose, and we just got to say, rejoice. It's like the beautiful story of the attractive, successful businesswoman who, when she was getting ready for work one day, noticed a lump behind her ear. And as she went on for a couple of weeks, noticing that lump growing, she decided to go see the doctor. The doctor gave her the prognosis that indeed it was a tumor and it had to come out. After the surgery, her face was all bandaged up, and eventually when the bandages were taken off, they found that the removal of the tumor caused her face to completely sag. Her facial muscles no longer worked. The nerves had been cut. She looked in the mirror as she got home, and she looked in the mirror and she said to herself, I can either cry or I can laugh. She chose to laugh. Many therapies failed to do anything for her permanently or to really help. But her decision to laugh is what allowed her to carry on her life with joy, and even to the point that she was able to give encouragement to others who suffered from similar disfigurements. She made a choice to rejoice, to laugh. And so we can do the same thing no matter no matter what cards or how they're dealt to us, we can rejoice. It's a choice, and it's a choice we can make, where our will says to us, yes, the Lord indeed has come. He is my Messiah. Or maybe it's kind of like the wife who's looking for a birthday card for her husband. She wants exactly the right one, and finally she finds it. And there on the front of the card it says, "Sweetheart, you're the answer to my prayers." And you open it up and it says, "You're not what I prayed for exactly, but apparently you are the answer to my prayers."